paint today, so I'm going to do one more fun Halloween-ish type painting. These are great for kids. It's also good practice for all of us because I just want to show you eyes are neat to make. So if you ever painted people or anything like that, but I just want to do the eyeballs, the irises, the color, you know, just let the different colors make that. And so if you got kids or know anybody with kids and just want maybe some kind of fun art project to do for Halloween real quick, maybe Saturday, something to keep them busy, it would be great for them. So make sure you share this with anybody that you know that would enjoy it. And we're going to get started. I'm going to show you the watercolors I use. So this is just a Crayola brand mixing set. It's nothing expensive. It's nothing fancy. It's just what I love to use. They're just fun to play with. It's also what I've taught kids art with these Crayolas, but what's different that you don't get them at the store. Sorry, I'm adjusting my camera one more time. You don't get them at the store. You just get the normal ones. These are mixing. So you got a few colors that aren't in here. And so there's no red. This is a red-orange. There's no green. You make your yellow. Even that looks a little green, it was yellow. It's just because I've used it to mix. You have turquoise. You have blue-violet, so it's more on the purple. And then you have hot pink or red-violet and black and white. So they're just fun to mix. It's a good, bright, vibrant color. So that's all I use when I do my little watercolor videos. And I'm just using my favorite little Wonder White brush that I like. You also get one in this set too. But anyways, today I am going to use a template, just a circle template. I found it in all of my dad's stuff because he used to do plans and do remodeling, and when I was a little girl, that's what probably made me, well, I'm sure it was in my DNA to want to do art. But anyways, I loved rummaging through my dad's drawers in his office because he worked from home and finding all his cool little things that he used to draw plans or whatever he did with it. So anyways, he lives with us now, and so I have a lot. You can see I used it with paint though. I have a lot of his stuff out here in the studio. Okay, so all I'm using, you can use a Sharpie for this. I don't know if this is a good one or a dried out one. I have these Bic Market fine point. Those are all good pens that won't bleed when you get them wet with watercolor. And then I like, if you want something smaller, you have this little water-based multi-surface. It's called Artistro. I just got it on Amazon, but so I'm going to just start with a Sharpie. So anyways, I feel like I should have a bigger circle for my eyes. Does anybody recognize this? Did anybody do scrapbooking? Or I know there's some people on here that still do scrapbooking, but this was Creative Memories. Was that like a direct sales company? But anyways, you had the little thing you slid with the blade on it to cut out circles. So I love those templates. Didn't do too much scrapbooking. Beth, I don't know. I'm sure a place like Hobby Lobby would have something like this. But anything you could use. You could use, like, here's my can that my water's in. And a lid to a water bottle for a smaller size. I just grab, lids and cups and bowls. I've used all that stuff. Did you used to do Creative Memories or whatever? Scrapbooking? Yeah, I did too. I did for a hot minute. And then I had so many kids. It's like I couldn't do that. All right, just didn't have time for it. Okay, so I'm gonna do big eyeballs because that way you'll be able to see it better. So this is I'm just using my template, and I'm not doing like I'm just gonna do the circles here. So I'm just gonna these could be overlapped too, you guys, if you wanted to overlap them. Let me just put one here, and I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do 5. You could do a whole bunch of them, especially if kids were doing them. Let me go ahead and add another one. I'm going to add 2 more. Never mind. I said I was going to do 5, and here I keep going. We'll see what I end up doing with them because I wanted some space. We're going to make them look like they're layered. Whoop. I needed a line right there. Okay, so this is what we're gonna paint in. I'm going to do the pupils. Let's see what size. I want the painting part, the watercolor part, to be fun. So I'm gonna do the pupils a little bit smaller. So this could be all colored in black. You could do the pen or you can do watercolor, the center for the pupils. They look like donuts. I do have a watercolor tutorial painting a box of donuts, and it was so much fun. Actually, I never finished the painting because my class was getting too long. Okay, so if you're gonna do, and there's a little bitty circle, so if you're doing the pupils, you do want to leave, you could leave like a square, kind of a lopsided square. You could paint all this in because you want for eyes to look like eyes. They're wet, and so the light reflects off of them. So that's just like a little reflection of light on the black. So you thought you were going to watercolor, but we're starting out with just some simple drawing colored in. But like I said, you can also, I'll just do this one, and then I'll watercolor the rest of the pupils black instead of doing the Sharpie. But I'm going to go ahead and draw my little reflection, so I know not to get paint in that. Okay, now I'm going to switch to another the little pen here. This can be done after, let's see, this can be done after after it dries. You can do it at the end or you can do it now. But I just wanted to show you because it probably won't be dry. But you know how you have the little lines? You should look at your eyes really well. There's just fun. I don't know. God was pretty creative when he made our eyes. But anyways, there's little lines in there. Everybody's eyes are different. It's just crazy. So these are just, I wonder if our eyes are as different like fingerprints and snowflakes. I bet they are. So I'm just doing little squiggly lines going in. They're not all evenly spaced. Come out. Okay. So, you know what? I didn't do this right. These are just irises. Our eyeballs would have, gosh darn it, Laurie. My name's Laurie, by the way. If you don't know who I am, I know you know the page is pieces of my art, but I'm off to a good start today, aren't I? They would have the big white part, so this would like be the eyeball. I might have to start this over, this whole painting over, but that's okay. We won't. We're gonna make it work. I'm gonna just see what we come up with. So I'm doing the irises. Now they look really weird because they're not layered right. You would do the farthest down layers first, I think. You're like, this lady's crazy. That's what my kids say, I'm crazy. All right, enough of that. We're just gonna make this, we're just gonna run with it. And I'm gonna hand draw them because I can't see what I'm doing. But anyways, the eyeballs should have been layered different for sure because I forgot the white part. And that's kind of what makes it. Well, this will be a cool abstract painting, right? But we'll have eyeballs in it, or irises. All right, ready to paint? Okay, enough of that. Let me just show you how to paint these. All right, brush is wet. I like to do wet on wet because I just like how the paints do their own thing. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just painting in this circle where I did all of these lines. And I am going to do a green eye first. Of course, if you're doing something spooky for Halloween, you would do all the purples and maybe the oranges. Also, another thing is like on the white part of the eye, you could do red lines with, I can do it with paint a little bit, but if you wanted really fine lines, you could take a pen, but we'll try it with paint. All right, so I said I was doing green first. So I'm gonna get it's kind of green already, only because I've used it to mix already. It was a pure yellow for this mixing set. It's almost like a chartreuse. So I'm just doing a circle, and where I got it wet, it just kind of starts spreading out. And by the way, the watercolor paper, if I didn't show you that, it's Kansan watercolor. It's 140-pound weight. It's great for doing wet on wet. And I just buy it in the pads. It's nice and economical for that. Okay, so I have all of this. Uh-oh, what happened to my video? Are you guys still on here? Low network. I should not have low network connection. Are you guys still around? Oh my gosh. What's up with our Wi-Fi today? It shows I'm still on here. Are you guys still here? Okay. Sorry. I don't know if you guys lost me or not. We do live in the country, which makes it sometimes challenging with Wi-Fi. All right. So now, I got my yellow. So now I'm just going to take a little, I was trying to show you on here. I'm taking some of my purple that has a little black mixed in it. I don't know if I'm going to like this one. But I just wanted to get some depth around the edges, and then we'll add some other brighter colors. And if you notice, I didn't paint it completely in. There's still some white showing. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of this. Oh, it cut out, but it came back on. Okay, thank you, Susan. I have an awesome neighbor where they have a tower out here in the country where we get our Wi-Fi, and most of the time it works, but okay, so now I'm just dropping turquoise in here. And I'm letting it spread. This is what I'm saying. It just like does its own thing, so you can it's endless. It's a good way to learn color mixing. So there's so many cool lessons. But anyways, in this, just this one little example. Great for kids. Try different color combinations. See what you come up with. And even if you don't have a mixing set, you can still mix. But anyways, just seeing what kind of color combinations you can come up with. But when you do wet on wet, they just kind of do their own thing here, which makes it a lot of fun. Take some more of this turquoise around here, and I'm going to put more yellow in it to make it more green. Actually, I just took a wet brush now. Just kind of pulling some of that out. I don't know if I'm going to do more yellow or not. We'll see. More of this turquoise on the edge. Okay. I'm going to say that one's done. All right, let's try another one. So I'm going to come over here with this full one. Oh, let's do it up here so I don't put my hand in it. So I'm getting this one wet now. So I just want to get it wet right inside the lines. That's what's neat about watercolor, is like where the paper's wet is where the paints will go. It won't go onto dry paper. So unless you put it there with your brush, but if you just want to let the paint just do its thing, you just get it wet. And then you pick a color and you start putting it in. I'm going to start with purple this time. And you know, our eyes too have, you know, if you really look at them up close, you can see there's a lot of colors. Put my hand right in that other one. That our own eyes, I didn't do the lines in this one though. You notice that, I'm sure. I can add it after it's all dry. I don't want to use a paint pen or a Sharpie for sure on wet paper because it'll ruin it. But I can also use my brush to create the lines. I'm kind of leaving a little drop on the end where I'm pulling my brush up. As that spreads out, it'll just kind of smush together a little bit more. All right, let's see what color I'm going to put in that. Let's come down to the orange. Can you see? You probably can't, can you? Sorry, I turned my paper the other way. I'm gonna get my red orange now. And the more you get your paint pans, these little cakes wet, that bolder or that more concentrated your paints are with these watercolors. And the cheaper brands that maybe you get, you know, when you're getting them in a hurry because you got to buy like for 18 kids for school or something, and you buy the cheaper brand, they're not as vibrant in colors as the Crayola ones are. I just love Crayola brand art supplies. I mean, they're great for kids, they're great for learning, and they're just good to practice with. You can do amazing things with them. All right, so I'm going orange on top of this purple all the way around the edge, and it's gonna, orange and purple kind of make a brown color anyway, so if you had brown eyes, they look a little red. Take some in the middle now. Going right around that pupil. Okay, there's that eyeball without the lines. Thank you, Beth. And, sorry, I got a paintbrush in my mouth because I was moving my computer so I could read what you guys were saying without feeling like I had to get a telescope out. All right. It's just fun. Fun making the different colors and just seeing all the ones you can do. All right, so I'm gonna do another one here. I'm not gonna do this up here because I want these to dry, because what happens if you get, so if my water were to touch where I just painted where it was wet, and the water would just connect, and it's almost like a dam breaks between the two, and so then the colors will just start flowing in between them. So I want to keep those separate for a little bit. Let's see. Thinking of what color I want. I'm going to do purple and turquoise for this one. So I'm going to start with purple first. Or red, it's blue violet is what it is. I think watercoloring is just relaxing. Now, if you want things darker, as that layer dries, then you can add more to it. Now I'm doing the blue. And I'm just kind of making that wagon wheel circle type look to it. And these, oops, kind of got out of the boundaries there. So these colors, when they mix, will make more of a indigo blue. You can see where it was, can't stay in my lines today. You can see where it's heavier where I started, but it's kind of a, it's, when they mix, they're not mixing too much because I didn't get too much purple. But when they mix, they make kind of a dark or indigo blue. If I was really purposely trying to mix them. I'm gonna stick a little yellow in it and see what happens. I like it. Let me take just a little, I'm going to take a little black on this last one. If you want just a little bit more depth around the edge where it gives it more of a 3D look. So you would shadow the edge because our eyes aren't like flat saucers, they're spheres. So the edges are going to look darker on anything. It just kind of gives it a little bit more 3D. All right, so I want to paint the pupil on these two that I didn't do. So I'm just taking straight black. Now, because it's watercolor, it's not going to be quite as dark. It'll look dark at first, but when it dries, it doesn't quite dry as opaque as just the Sharpie by itself. So your Sharpie lines will show a little bit more, but you can always paint them or color them in with your Sharpie. It's more of like a super dark charcoal gray. Again, you can go over it as it dries and do more. This kind of makes me think of, do you wash? Yes, I do wash my brush out. Sorry, I'm so got everything scrunched in here. So I just have my water. Each time I dip in another color, for one is I don't want to get these all mixed up together. So I always clean my brush in between. I have a paper towel too if I need to dry it off, but I'm doing a lot of wet on wet, so I'm not drying my brush that often. But I'll swish it in here. Let me put it over here. I'll swish it in there, and then sometimes, because I don't want to like mix my colors in, so if I was like trying to make green, I don't really want to mix it in there, even though that looks a little more in the green, just because after a while it does. Like you can use the lid of your, you can use the lid of this to make your mix new colors on too. So you can always use that. I didn't do a very good setup for you guys today. I think I have it closer so I don't have as much space for the whole thing. But anyways, so yes, I do clean my brush. So hopefully you see me do that. And then I tap off excess water. You either tap it off on the, you can do that. So then it's not too bad when you're getting this wet. You do want, if you have a good watercolor paper, you can let it puddle, okay? A little bit, because it just, the paper will hold up for it. Now, if you're using just like a cardstock or a heavy paper that's not really designed for watercolor, if you get it too wet, sometimes the fibers start lifting and it just kind of tears up your paper. So different paper is going to react different to watercolor. This one's just a really good one for mixing. You can see where I got water outside of that eyeball right there, and it just kind of broke the dam. All right, let me think what color would be good. I need to go in my, I'm gonna do, I know we don't have pink eyes, but this is, I need a brighter color. We'll see what we do with it. So I'm adding this red violet here. And I got that one really wet. So I just love how there's so many fun paintings that I've done where it's just, you just let your paints do their thing. These little blossoms or clouds or just whatever are just fun to see what happens. Whoop. I made really strong coffee this morning, and so I was working on an acrylic painting at the other end of the table here, and I was just, I could feel the caffeine in my body. It was like, okay. I was painting little teeny tree branches, and I was like, okay, good thing that's what I'm doing, because those are little wiggly lines that I didn't need to have something straight. All right, that's a super bright eye. Let me see what other color do I want to put in that. Trying to decide if I want to go. I'm going to go purple with it. I know I've used a lot of purple, but I'm going to take purple. And just bring this. You're welcome, Beth. All right, let me come up and do, I'm gonna do this one up here because I feel like those were kind of dry around it a little bit, so I don't think I'll risk them smushing together too much. I'm gonna just do this one. I'm gonna stay with my really chartreuse kind of yellow here because that's what it has. And then I'm gonna take my red orange mix that in there. I'm gonna take some red violet just to get it nice and bright going around the edge. It's gonna make it look like a totally bloodshot eye here. The yellow makes it turn more of a red orange, but if I did a lot of it, it could be more on the red spectrum here. All right, one more. I think the first one is my favorite. One more. This is totally like my eyeballs didn't get drawn right. If you guys came in later and you're like, what in the world on the circles? I should have done the whites around the eyeballs before I layered them. Should have done a whole eye and then done it that way. But I was just hurrying right along, doing my thing. All right, let me think what color. I'm gonna kind of repeat. I'm gonna start with my orange. Let's do orange and turquoise over here and see what we end up with. It just depends on how much you let it mix together on whether you lose your colors. So you could blend it and really mix it up and then it would be brown. But if you let the different layers of colors show more, then you can see what colors you're using to make the new color. It's just fun to have. So I have the turquoise now. Just kind of see what it's gonna do here. Again, you could do like I did on that first one. You could do the black lines first, or you can come back and do those at the end after it's dry. A hair dryer is a great way to get your stuff to dry quickly. This makes me think of the Miami Dolphins football team. And it's kind of almost turning black. Interesting. I am going to paint, I have one more, but I'm going to paint the rest of these two pupils in here. Go ahead and do that one right there. So I got one more. I'm going to go back and do the blue and the green, or the yellow and that bright one, I think. So my paints are still wet on that one that turned brown and purple. So it's just kind of bleeding over into it, but that's all right. Let's see, I started with the yellow. Just a little piece of a color in here. Putting some of the purple on the edge, but this time, because I did it in a different, whoops, that was black. I did it a little different order, and so now it does look black. Yeah. Making sure it was purple. It's really mixing into that blue this time. Plus it's probably got too much water too. If you get too much, if it gets too watery, then you lose the really thick. There we go. Just kind of dropping this one in here because it's kind of tight in there, so it's hard to get too many details on that one. All right, so now, I mean, you could do whatever with the stuff around it. You could make them be, if you wanted to do like red little blood vessels or whatever. Thank you, Suzanne. It's just kind of whatever. I'm trying to think if any of these are dry. I'm going to take a little black. This one might be dry. So I could do, if I didn't use the pen, got a little hair on that brush. Sometimes they get a little out of control. See, I can just really pull the end together. And then I have a really narrow, but if my paints are, I can get the right angle I want. If my paints are wet at all, it'll spread out. So you want, if you're wanting to use your paints to add fine lines or something, you gotta make sure it's dry. So anyways, I'm sitting here trying to think what I should do with these outside lines. I really don't want to do red, but I could. Let's try this. Because if kids are doing this, okay, so I'm going to mix a little red. Let me show you here. I'm going to mix it on my palette. So I got my red orange, clean my brush. Going to take some of the red violet, mix it in that until I get the red that I want. And it's still kind of a pink, so I'm going to use this yellow that I haven't used yet. It doesn't have the green in it. Add that to it, and that'll knock out the pink color. Okay, it needs to be a little darker. I'm going to put some more red violet in it to get it. There we go. There's our red. Maybe. I just wanted a deeper. mixing and mixing here. Just trying to get it a little bit more concentrated. All right, there's my red. Okay, so just kind of like I did on the black. So if you wanted to do like blood veins, if you wanted to get that creepy, you could add little blood veins to this part of their eye. Now I didn't get this wet first because I didn't really want it to just spread all over. But you could. Let's see what happens. We'll just do one. It may not be as defined as what you want it to look like, because it will really spread. So anyways, if you got kids that just need something to do this weekend, I don't know, maybe if you're not going to get a chance to go trick-or-treating or you know, just an alternative. I don't know. I know there was a time when we didn't really do much Halloween stuff anyways in our family, but I always wanted to make the day special for my kids, and so something like this for me would have been awesome, because I always like, now my kids may not have been impressed as much as me, because I probably like doing stuff like this way more than they did, but still, sometimes when you just show them and get the stuff out, it's just fun to do. So anyways, this is the last for the Halloween I did.